Welcome back to another Hit in the Turnbuckle podcast. Actually, say welcome back. It's been a while since we've done a show. We've just recently finished our joint production show with Ignite Wrestling over here in the UK. So we took about a week break, but it's back to normal. And what a guest I have. And it's a guest that I've been wanting for quite some time. So I'm really happy to have this guest on. Someone that I don't even think needs an introduction. For those of you that watch wrestling will see her face generally on WWE or on AEW or TNA, wherever they put streamers and their reactions on there. Also, apparently a member of the Secret Service nowadays as well. But if, of course, the WWE did put out a streamer's wing of the Hall of Fame, this will no doubt be a first ballad. It's Wheezy Blonde. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Those were so many nice things to say. Oh my gosh.
I appreciate that, but it's all true. To be fair, I've been watching your stuff and Conman and a couple of other streamers, and it's really good to see the stream stuff because it's real. It's in the moment that you do this. I've got a couple that I want to just bring to your attention straight away. One of them is a little bit obvious, and one of them is a little bit less obvious in terms of maybe because of the moment, but it was important I saw it of you for your reaction. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly. The first one was the return to the WWE of CM Punk when it happened at Survivor Series in Chicago. And probably the nicest use of the word motherfucker I've ever heard in my entire life. When you said that word, he was like, "Oh, they did it, they did it, they did it." And you just went, motherfucker. And I just
I
never,
did.
you did. And it was hilarious. But talk us through that kind of moment. Because obviously you're streaming live but it is a reaction that it's your reaction, is it? It's your reaction to what's happening there and then. But talk me through it. Was it something that you was expecting? Did they time it right? Because it was you thought it was going to end and all of a sudden that cult of personality music hits and you just get that wave of kind of excitement through your body.
Leading up to that, I still feel this way, but normally when people are talking about someone returning or something happening at the end of a PLE or an event, it almost never happens. It almost never happens. It's all this hype up and then it doesn't happen. So the timing with that was obviously I'd heard the rumbles and rumors of, oh, well, they're in Chicago, Punk is coming back, and we're getting to the very end, very end, very end, and they're zooming out in the camera, and it was okay, they're done. It didn't happen. See, you guys are wrong again. And then it hits. And so it just was, oh, oh, okay. Because I would have never, honestly, I really would have never say never in wrestling, but I would have never expected him to ever actually return. And he did. So it was just like a shock moment. It was really perfectly timed. One of the coolest things ever. One of the coolest things ever.
It was. I remember, and as I said about Conman in my in thing, he was wearing a Randy Orton outfit.
He was.
And he
He's like, get this
literally
off of me.
take the shit off. He was like, that tickles me. But yeah, you're right. I mean, look, they've done that really, really well. They've done a couple of ones really, really well. The second one I wanted to mention, it was one that was actually only happened recently. And I think it caught a different side of Wheezy on this one. That was the like, really exciting side. You were like, oh my God. This one I think caught you a little bit. I don't know if it caught you off guard. It sounded like it. And it was Finn Balor's return to NXT at Homecoming. It was like you were kind of sitting there, and obviously I always still call, he was in the ring talking about, lights out and the lights went out and you're a bit puzzled 'cause you're like, what's going on? And then you hear that little the intro to Finn's music and you kind of guess who it is. But it was only when that sort of the start of his music hit and you kind of like went, oh, and it was again, was that something that was it? Did that one take you by surprise a bit? Because I know you were like, I talk shit about Finn, but I love Finn at the time. And was it just something that was that a moment that really took you off guard because you wasn't expecting him there?
It did catch me off guard, and the reason that it gave me the reaction that it did is one, I started watching wrestling again more full time in about 2016, 2017, and I really liked Finn Balor. When he came back from his injury after having to give up the Universal
Yeah.
title and everything, I really, really liked him. And it just, I was also I'm still working on it, but I'm working on a video that focuses on 2017. And so I had just been doing all this research and rehashing, that entrance. And I loved that version of Finn Balor. And I hold so strong all the time that he deserved so much better, but he just was such a victim of his time. And I do talk shit about him, but only as the character that he is. It's not like I'm always like, oh, Finn Balor sucks. No, it's me being like, turn on Dom already. Like you're being conniving and sneaky. Like just do it already. Like I always do it more in the actual story sense. But yeah, it did catch me off guard, and it's like waves of nostalgia because that's just when I came back to it, and time flies, man. And I don't know, you just realize that very quickly.
Yeah, no, it though time does fly. I remember like bit of a side note, but like my son turns 11 next year, and like I can remember he nearly died twice at birth, and I can remember vividly. I mean, obviously you vividly remember when your family are born, right? But
Right.
those sort of things bring it back, and you say about time flying, and next year, you don't feel much of a dad anymore or a mom anymore when they're that age because they're doing their own thing. But time, yeah, absolutely flies. But I wanted to ask you a bit about the streaming bit, but I wanted to go back a bit further. So if you could say, for example, take the internet where it is now, the whole streaming and the popularity of it, take it back to say the Attitude Era. Is there a moment that you would like to have kind of been able to do what you do in the Attitude Era? And if there is, what would that moment be?
Mm. The first thing that popped in my head was just Mania 17 in its entirety, just
Yeah.
all of it. Being able to do the TLC match that happened there, being able to do the Rock and Stone Cold angle. Those are just the two main things that
Mm.
really stand out. Trying to think of like an outlier of just like a random thing. But no, those are really the main that stand out to me. Just the biggest moments that you can think of that everyone looks toward.
Definitely. I would like, I mean, obviously, I don't do reactions. I wish I could, but I don't do them. But I would like the Jericho debut on on Raw.
Yeah.
That
No,
would have
yeah,
been
that's yes.
The Austin heel turn, the one when he shook hands with Vince, I could just imagine there'd be so many like, of the streamers and what you guys do. It just that
The
man.
flipping tables. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The
What? Yeah, I can only imagine.
a bit further below, maybe the screw job, the Montreal screw job, because
Ooh, yeah.
it was an interesting one because obviously we didn't really know. I mean, obviously the internet wasn't around as much as it was, and you couldn't, you kind of know in advance now, right? Who's coming,
Yeah.
and where they're going. And that one would have been interesting to have seen, the reactions of what you guys would have been. That would have been an incredible one, I think. I know they've done it
It
since, but just not that.
Right. It would be interesting to see like the entire WCW kind of Nitro Wars and everything,
Yeah.
where Hogan ended up going, Hogan ends up over in WCW. All of that would be really interesting to see play
Mm.
out because it's, we have the different programs now, but at that time, such a wild, wild thing.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, we didn't know whether we were coming or going. I remember it was literally must watch. We had it really weird over here. I'm not sure if you know how it worked in the UK. So we never had
Mm-mm.
Raw live back then. We never had Nitro live. So we used to kind of have the Friday night wars. It would have aired, and this was before
Ah,
.com and all of that sort of stuff. So we wouldn't have known what's going on. WrestleZone, I think, was still around. Um, so we vividly 8 o'clock in the UK, so maybe 1 a.m. over, no, not 1 a.m., 3 p.m. over in the States, bit like the time now, near enough. We would have Raw for an hour. And then if you wanted to, you could watch the end of Johnny Bravo on the Cartoon Network and it would switch to Monday Nitro at 9. So you'd have an hour in between to
uh-huh.
the first hour of Raw, then Nitro would kick in, and then you would kind of have the second hour of Raw. That would finish, and you just about get enough time to watch the Nitro main event if you were into that. That's what I used to do. I used to turn over for the cruiserweights because I used to love the cruiserweight division in WCW, and then watch the start because you kind of the start always derails what's going to happen. You always knew if Austin and McMahon would start, Austin and McMahon was going to end somehow on Raw, and the same thing with WCW. That's how we had it in the UK. Not as great as watching it live, of course, but we still had our own.
I always admire the UK fans for your dedication because of it's not quite as easy to keep up with everything or watch at specific times. If either you watch live at 1, 2 a.m. or you're watching the next day. So having to keep up and not have things spoiled, it's a dedication for sure.
It is. And talking about dedication, it brings me to another bit of news that you announced recently. I just wanted to get into it. That I always say the shoot job, and it's and obviously we know it's a wrestling term, right? But
Yeah.
you were working at a hair salon, right? And my sister, God rest her soul, she was a hairdresser when she was alive, and I know that when you leave, well, see, when you leave a job, right, you miss people and stuff. But I always find that with the hairdressing, and I know someone like me talking about hairdressing is probably ridiculous with my hair, but or lack of it. But it's like a family. The clientele base is like a family, isn't it? Because you'll get people in that will specify, I only want to have you do my hair, I don't want anybody else. So leaving that realm and leaving that kind of the family to go and do this full time. How was that transition? Is it been a difficult one so far? I know you were doing streaming as well, but just by doing that now on its own, was it a difficult thing? Did it take a bit of time to get used to?
I'm still adjusting and trying to find a groove because when I left, it wasn't just oh, I'm leaving my job and now I get to be a content creator full time. I got really sick and I ended up in the hospital because I wasn't really taking care of myself. I
Mm.
was just having a lot of health issues going on. And so I was kind of forced out of the industry almost. I just had made the decision a couple weeks after I was supposed to take a leave of absence for a couple months, and I just decided not to go back. And it was really difficult to leave those clients behind. I've done it for 12 years. A lot of them I've done for that entire time. And there's a lot of guilt in that I had to just kind of let go of because, I'm responsible for these people. They depend on me and they let me know, which was kind of part of the problem leading up to I wanted to pursue creation full time a long time ago, but there was always these people, you're not going to leave me, right? You're not, no one else can do my hair, or no one else can do this. And so I think I took that a little too to heart, and I did this a little bit too long. So I'm still trying to find the rhythm that works for me. I'm still trying to find the schedule that works for me. I do more than just streaming. I know everyone knows us for the reaction clips, but I do that 2 days a week for a few hours. The rest of the time is me doing brand deals, emails,
Mm.
advertisements, trying to get my YouTube channel up and running, editing myself, hiring out the editor, just trying to find a schedule and rhythm that works. And it's a lot of thankless work, and sometimes you don't reap the rewards from it that you would like to. So it's still figuring it out. I like to remind myself it's been 2 months, if not a little more, and I dug myself quite a hole, with my health and everything, and it takes a little bit longer to undo than it does to do. So just kind of just rolling with the flow now.
Well, you're doing a great job, anyways. You never
Thanks.
forget that. Never forget that. I know, going by the health, I know, and it wasn't through podcasting. It happened to me, but I had heart failure a couple of years ago, and
Oh my
I
gosh.
didn't know I had it. It was one. I just, I literally, I wasn't well. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't as if it just sprang on me. I wasn't well, but I never knew the seriousness until I went in to the hospital. And stupidly enough, 3 days after that, I'm doing a podcast in my hospital ward with a friend, but it just boredom more than anything else. But yeah, that kind of got me thinking, and that's kind of why we've had a bit of a break from the show. Because again, like I mentioned at the start, we partner with an independent wrestling company over here. We have our championship there, which is defended every 6 weeks, and but then for the last couple of years, we've done our own co-produced show, which is it was called Buckle Up. We've sold it out 3 times. We've had some of the big names in the UK come onto it, and it just at the end of that show last week, I was kind of at a point where I'm like, this gives me the week now to kind of do the bare minimum in the podcast stuff. Obviously, the shoot job has to get done. Can't come away from that, but just do the bare minimum for a week and get yourself back. And then, of course, you're the first one that I've had, the first interview since I've come back. So it's nice to be
Oh, really?
yeah, since I've come back. It's only been a week.
Oh, shoot.
So
Yeah.
I've done a couple of review shows, and we've been doing this 3 years, and we've done about 1,200 bits of content on YouTube. 90% of it interviews or review shows, whatever. And there's obviously clips in there like you do. But yeah, but that kind of you hit the nail on the head with the health thing there because it made me realize, hey, there's more to life, and the health has to come first, right? And without your health, you can't do this, right? So there
Your
we
body
go.
lets you know
Your
at
body
the,
does let
the,
you
the
know.
least convenient time.
Yeah, it's always at the worst time.
Yeah.
I missed the first ever All In over here because of it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
went to
Yeah.
go. I was released from hospital, but there was a train strike and I couldn't fly back from my parents. It's a bit like the States, right? My parents live one side of the UK, I live the other. So I
Yeah.
flew down there unwell, not knowing, and I wasn't allowed to fly back. And the only other way I could get home, because I didn't have my car, was train, and there was a train strike. So I couldn't get back to London until the Sunday afternoon of All In. But because I literally had a chemist full of tablets, I would never have been able to get into the stadium. So it would have
Oh, geez, yeah.
made up for it though, last couple of years. That's for sure. Last shows. But talking about that, and it brings me nicely on to the WWE and maybe even AEW now, doing more international stuff. So it kind of benefits us. I mean, we've had that big news or controversial about WrestleMania being in Saudi Arabia and the Royal
Mhm.
Rumble being in Saudi Arabia. For us, I mean, look, in terms of what timings it's on, it's great because it's going to be on at 6 o'clock for us over here in the UK. But with this, do you think it's going to become, or in a bad way, is America going to become less and less, I'm not saying involved, but are there going to be less and less shows over here while they, do you think in the future they're going to do more over here, or do you think there's going to be more of an even kill?
Hard to say. I I don't mind them doing more of the overseas shows. They have been really great. I really enjoy the crowd energy from literally every international crowd that we've had.
Yeah.
I always say in the States, I don't want to say that we're just too used to it or we're too spoiled, but we kind of are. And we
Mm,
have Raw and SmackDown every week, and it's just always been so available to us. But also, I think in the States we care a little more about what other people think. I think international crowds, you guys are just way more willing to have fun in public. You guys are so used to it with football matches, with all the things that you guys have, and you know how to have fun and be lively in a crowd. And in the States, there's a little bit more shame surrounding that. You're more worried about, oh, well, someone's going to make fun of me because I'm being too excited. We care way too much what other people think, and we judge what other people do way too much. It really irritates me. I always try to get my sections hyped up whenever I go to shows because I like to have fun. So I wouldn't blame WWE for wanting to have more international shows for that reason. Plus, I think if it's more available to for them to do that, why not? However, I don't know if it's going to be 50-50. I
mm.
don't know. I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do. And like I said, the news at WrestleMania, was it right to put WrestleMania at it? Because look, there's so much that goes. I mean, you were on the stage, right? I think at WrestleMania, if I
I
remember
was,
rightly.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Hmm.
were there, right?
Yep.
So for the US, I know it's been in Canada a couple of times, and that's all fine. But for the big one, the WrestleMania, which is the WWE's, it is their their NFL, their Super Bowl, whatever you want to call it. Was it right for them to take that away and move it to a Saudi Arabia or even a UK in a few years' time? Do you think that should just stay in the States because of the importance of it?
My immediate response in my head is yes. I
Mm,
I feel like it should. I but I always go back and forth because it's one of those things where you think, well, there's also this population over here that is still supporting this product, even though it's not based in their country. I think my biggest curse, I always tell people, is that I was given the curse of being able to see multiple sides of everything. I'm
mm,
always able to empathize with another side. I very rarely am very strictly just one track mind. I can always see another angle of things. But in the States, with WrestleMania, I don't know what the conversion is or how prices differ when they're having them overseas internationally, but the ticket prices are getting really high here
yeah.
to the point where with WrestleMania, I mean, no, you're either taking out a second loan, you're maxing out a credit card for normal everyday middle class people being able to go. So I don't know what WrestleMania is going to end up becoming if people can't afford the tickets. If
Mm.
they're having WrestleMania elsewhere, I'm really curious what those prices are and how that compares to what it is for us. But it's tricky at the moment.
It
There's a
is.
lot of things changing.
No, you're absolutely right. I'll give you an example, and I can give you an example of a ticket price change for WWE. And this is 20 odd years. So they done the first televised Raw taping in the UK. 2005, 2006, something along those lines. And it was in Manchester in the UK. So for me, 4 or 5 hour drive, but I couldn't drive back then to train. Um, and my ticket was not on the floor, but just as it tiered up, so perfect view of everything, right? Stage closer to the stage. And it was, and I'm trying to convert it into American dollars, probably $75. That was a ticket for one show. And I recently, just out of pure interest, wanted to see how much that same ticket was to go to Raw over here again. And it was close to $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah,
That,
that's what it is here. That's about what they're doing here too. Lower bowl facing hard cam, that whole first section. I mean, it's $1,000, sometimes 2,000 if someone's doing a resale. I was just at WrestlePalooza and
mm,
up until the day of, the floor seats for first row were 6 grand. Everything behind that was 4 grand. Lower bowl was about 2 grand, 1,000, and then even nosebleeds, the lowest was 250. And then it started dropping when the event got closer and closer. I ended up paying for fourth row back on the floor. I ended up paying 850, and that was the lowest that the floor seats went. So, yeah.
wow, that's are they in danger? Because I read an article from TKO that he did. I mean, look, Vince McMahon's done a load of things wrong. I'm not going to get into that, but
Mhm,
they did say that he didn't basically didn't get as much out of the tickets as what he should have done. And
mhm,
my rebuttal to that was maybe that's true, but what he'd done was created an affordable legacy of fans, right? Because when we were little, our parents took us, they can afford to take us to wrestling because the prices were competitive enough for them to afford. Some maybe wasn't, don't get me wrong, but we went, right? And then when we got older, we paid ourselves, right? So we are fans. Then our friends, their family took, our friends when they were, so they become fans. And then we grew up like myself, and I had a child. I took him, and he become a fan. So what WWE managed to do under Vince McMahon was create an affordable way of I call him like a legacy customer because you're always
mhm.
going to afford to come back. My opinion now is they're in danger of stripping that away and really only giving it to the people that maybe are on a say above average wage that perhaps haven't got kids, or perhaps have but just in well-paid jobs. But they're going to take away the legacy fan in favor of the fans that have just got the money at the time.
No, I absolutely agree. I've fought it for the majority of this year. I wanted to give it
Mm.
time. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like really, I'll wait, I'll wait, I'll wait. And now with them having said that, with the person from TKO saying that the ticket prices could have been higher, and I think if I saw the same thing, he literally said that Vince did price specifically for
Yeah,
families. Like that was the entire premise of why they did that. He wasn't trying to price gouge. He was able to get, the revenue and everything they did in other ways. And now, just like every other corporation that has to do with tickets or concerts or anything, they are pricing out people that either are middle class or have kids and can't afford to do it. I always said they had that Fanatics Fest
yeah,
in New York City, and the first year they did it, WWE stars were the only people to sell out all of their signings and their pictures. Pro wrestling is the one professional sport where the fans were given as much access for the least amount for the longest time. We always felt like we were a part of and we were really part of the experience. And other sports like the NFL, NBA weren't necessarily like that. So that feel like that's being taken away a little bit. And I think that there's certain wrestlers there I think that are fighting that, but they're not the ones that are it's not up to them.
no,
It's not up to them at all. So it's hard to see it changing. I've fought it. It's hard to even just say out loud because I don't want it to be that way, and I don't want to admit it. But the writing's on the wall. You can't deny it. You see it. So it's
yeah.
disheartening.
It is, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, look,
Yeah.
let's be positive and say that they won't. But on that last question, before I start getting into some other random questions for you,
Mhm.
did you ever think you would be in a world, bro? I know you said you went away from wrestling for a week, come back, but did you ever think you'd live in a world where A, the WWE wouldn't be owned by a McMahon, but B, there wouldn't even be a McMahon in the WWE in a lot of ways?
No.
No.
No, not at all. I think growing up, or at least when I had first gotten back into it, I think I just always assumed that, oh, well, one of the other McMahons would take over and they would keep it, you know, a family business. I was surprised, but also not when it sold. So, no, I never thought we'd be here, but here we are trying to navigate it.
Here we are. Yeah, here we are. And it's going to have bumps in the road, as we know. It always things like that will
Hmm.
be done. But at the end of the day, it is still wrestling, and there is a lot of other wrestling out there other than WWE, of course, and
Yes.
that's a good thing. I'm a big myself and one of my co-hosts. We're massive NWA fans, so we're having to watch that via a VPN. But what I would say about that, and I know it has its criticisms, and I hear a lot of criticisms about it, but one of the things that I would say I really enjoy about it is, and it's very rare that this doesn't happen in the NWA. The finish with like they only hit one finish. I'm an old man, right? I think what did Punk say? I'm old, I'm tired, and I work with children, right? That was his
Yep.
line. I'm kind of like that when it comes to two things in wrestling. One is finishers, and two is like the selling of moves. And the NWA, they finish matches with a damn drop kick for Christ's sake. That's like that is it. Hit your finish, it's done. But anyway, I digress because
You
I'll
mean
start
they
going.
don't kick out of seven finishers? What?
No, and crazy. I
Whoa,
know,
but it's
I
so
know.
entertaining.
And a big like flying elbow drop. When was that ever? I mean, Randy Savage was the last, probably the
Mm,
last guy I done it, right? When Carnage from Blunt Force Trauma hits that, it's over. It's and that's it. And that's what I like about it. And it's a little bit old school. There's not like, I remember an AEW match, and I hate mentioning this because it gives fans the ump when I say this, but there was a match in AEW, and I think it may have even been a good friend of mine that lives down the road to me, Mr. Will Ospreay, that was in this, and he may ridicule me when I see him next. But he hit a poison rama. The person he hit a poison rama on hits a poison rama on somebody else. They then, the one that's take the poison rama hits the poison rama, and they win about five or six in a row. And I'm like, that move, I used to cringe when someone used to hit it because I used to think, oh my God, it was. I look at it now and I just go, yeah, but Osprey just done that five times, and the guy got straight back up. I'm a stickler.
happens a
So
lot.
yeah, no,
No, it
as I said, I'm a grumpy old man, right? But that's
you
just
can be. I feel like that's a very, very valid one.
yeah. Well, anyway, I'll probably get ridiculed for being tribalistic or something, but I just don't like it. It just anyway. I digress because I'll end up going off. I'll be end up with the guy at the Muppets that sits up at the top of the theaters, you know. But anyway, I want to ask you some sort of random questions, right? And some of these I asked people already. I've asked wrestlers in the past, and a couple of them are going to be newer ones that I haven't asked before. So you're testing the water on this.
Okay.
So one of the ones that I ask quite a lot, and it does stump people, is your Mount Rushmore of wrestling theme songs. So your top five wrestling theme songs of all time is
Do they have I don't have a specific order, but
that's
I
fine.
can rattle off my faves. Ass Man, Billy Gunn.
First time that's ever
It's
come
just
out of it.
no, it's such a banger. Dude, it's such
Yeah,
a bop. It's such a bop. It's so good. What else? End of Days, Baron Corbin.
yeah, that was a good
Hmm.
one.
What else? Oh, Lita's. I can't remember the Love, Hate, Fury, whichever one that is.
Another one.
That one. See, and now we're just gonna start throwing random ones. Hmm. Because there's so many. And there's really no modern ones I really like either. That's the sad thing. That's the sad thing. Hmm. I don't want to give Cult of Personality. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to. Cult of Personality, but I feel like it shouldn't count. And then one more,
Yep.
which what on earth would I make that one? Part of me wants to say the Hardy Boys, and then there's another
Yes.
part of me that no, I'm gonna put the Hardy Boys there.
Yep, you could have had the Jeff one, right? No more words. That was a banger. That was a banger.
Yeah, I could, but I'll keep them collective together.
You keep them clear. That's fine. That's fine. I always have to throw Edge in there because I mean you can't see. I know you've got toes. I got the broods on my
Oh,
arm. The double
Metalingus.
brood.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the rated R star is on my back with the you know the one that has the
Oh,
wing
nice.
radar. So I have a story about Edge, but I'll tell you that at the end when I've near the end of the show, which was really nice because it was one of those ones where I'd met him a couple of times, but I'll save it for
Mhm.
the end. So you've done the Mount Rushmore. So here's a different one. It's Wheezy's table for four. So you've got a table with four people in wrestling, past, present, alive, dead, that you would like to have dinner with in turn, but more of like not just dinner, but like, conversations about wrestling. Who are the
Mhm.
four people that are joining you at that table?
First person that pops, that can be alive or
Yeah.
dead.
Mhm.
First person that pops into my head is Roddy Piper.
Brilliant.
Um, just because I feel like he was no bullshit, and I appreciate that out of people. Like I feel like he wouldn't bullshit. So Roddy Piper, Luna Vachon.
Oh, okay.
I want to talk to Luna. And then, hmm, who else would I throw in because of that? That's why I end up picking people that are gone because I've met so many people
Mm.
at this point that is like, I could talk to them at a different point. Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
I'd add, I'd add Eddie. And do I want another? May Young.
Yeah. Awesome.
I would like to talk to May. I have so many questions for May. I would love to talk to her. She seemed like a bad bitch. I would love to talk to her.
Maybe how the hell did she give birth to a hand? That would be a good.
Yeah, it's just trauma from my childhood. Yeah.
Drama. Quick one on Eddie Guerrero. I always say when anyone mentions him, I always tell this story because it was 6 months before he passed away actually. So it was WrestleMania
Mhm.
21, LA. So we had done a 13-hour flight. Stupidly, we'd done a stop off in Germany. So we literally went back to go forward. We got there, we dropped our stuff off at the hotel. I remember vividly the hotel had a Denny's attached to it, like many hotels did probably back then. I don't know. We were on the strip of LAX. WWE.com used to announce, oh, they're doing autographs here, there, and everywhere. And it was Eddie Guerrero at Toys R Us, and it was like at 6 p.m. till 8, I want to say something like that. So we decided we dropped our bags. We went there, we got the taxi, we were there about 4 hours. We got there about 4 p.m. And it was the first 500 people. We were 496, 497, 498, 499, 500 out there. So we were the last
Oh my God.
six, which was crazy. Because we're like, if we get there and we can't do it, we'll just come back. So anyway, it kind of felt written that we were, that this was right. Anyway, so he starts, he gets the police escort in, the autograph thing's starting, and it's getting to like 5 to 8, and we're not near the door yet to get into Toys R Us. So the woman comes out and she says, look, we're going to have to ask Eddie if he's okay to stay and to carry on, to doing this. So we're like, oh, okay, so maybe it's not going to happen. So we
Mm.
just get in, and there's a table like around the corner. So we're just as he goes around so we can see him. And the woman at that point goes up to him. She went, it's 8 o'clock. Are you okay? And Eddie, when I say this, you're going to say this is typical Eddie Guerrero, and it is. He looks up, he gets on the table, he does the shoulder jig, and he's like, "We got on night, say." And it was just like,
Oh,
and at that point, we all just like, it was like we all just fanboyed at that point. We were probably ridiculous, but we did. It was just my memory, my memory of Eddie Guerrero, and I'll always remember him like that because it was a
it's
fabulous
for the
moment.
people.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
It was brilliant, and I'll never ever forget it. Anyway, I digress. If you could be played out at WWE event, who would be the artist that you would choose to play you out? Like, when you get those big WrestleMania entrances when they bring the people in, who's playing you out? And you need to remember this because you'll be in the Hall of Fame one day, so you need to remember this for that reason.
Like a band?
Yeah, yeah, like a man. Yeah, who's going to play
Yeah.
you out? Who plays Wheezy out?
Paramore.
There we go.
Paramore would probably be my main one. That or Gwen Stefani, no doubt, because I
Yeah,
always say Just a Girl is like my anthem. So probably more No Doubt would
yeah,
play me out.
excellent. What has been the greatest match that you've ever seen live? It doesn't have to be on telly. It's live that you've ever witnessed and being there watching.
Oh, shoot. I've seen so many. I've seen so many in such a short span of time. So that's a difficult thing because then they run together. I I really enjoyed Liv and Rhea at SummerSlam Cleveland.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites. I was just at this past SummerSlam also. I'm trying to think of what really stood out from that. Cena and Cody was really good.
That was.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. So I probably between those two, I'll pick a women's and a men's for right now, because those are the easiest ones I can think of. Yeah.
That's good. I'm gonna go to a match that you no one well, the people that have seen it were the people that were there because it was a house show. It was in London's XL Arena, and I don't know if it was before or after that. They had a match at No Way Out, and I can't remember if it was the WrestleMania Revenge Tour or the one in November. But it was Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker, and they always have great matches, right?
Oh
There's no
yeah.
doubt, right? But it went 40 minutes or so, I think, if I remember serves me right. And it was just an incredible, it's just one of those ones that, I've been fortunate. I've been over to watch 3 or 4 WrestleManias and I've done all that. But that match for me, it was just amazing. Because, house shows, they're a little bit more personable. You get, yeah, they do. But they just went at it for like 40-minute fun. The only funny thing about it was after it, they done like a little hug. I'm not sure if they were both faces at this point. Maybe they were. They done like a little hug, and Angle kissed the Undertaker. And suffice to say, as you probably know, he wasn't very happy about that. And I remember Undertaker got on the mic and he went, "You made the biggest mistake. Like your ass is mine, Kurt." And as he said that, as he's done that, Kurt Angle's mooned him from the stage. And
Oh Jesus Lord.
yeah,
I miss house shows. I miss
that
them so much.
That they are great. I enjoy them. I used to love them. They used to be great. But yeah, that was the best match I've ever seen, and it's still to this day. And I agree with some of those though. They were great. But you mentioned John Cena, and
Mhm.
I can't talk to you without asking. Look, we are literally a few shows away from John's finale now. He's got AJ Styles.
We're at the last man. Hmm.
We got AJ coming up. We've got whatever he does at Survivor Series. And then we got the one that should be in Boston, WWE, by the way, but is in Washington.
It's in DC. Yep.
Let's less say about that. Who does it? Who's the one? Who's the last one?
You know, it's crazy because we've been asked this whole year,
Mm.
and I am the first to admit that I never know anything, and I bounced back and forth because I kept saying, "Oh, it'd be so great to have, him go out with one of his greatest rivals." So I used to say I've said The Rock for a minute. I said Orton for a minute, but I also constantly said knowing Cena's gonna want to put someone over on the way out, someone that he really
Yeah.
feels like is embodies, what the business is and someone that's gonna carry it forward. And then he had that match with Cody and I don't want it I don't want that. I don't want that again. I heard I hate when people say that to me because who knows what's real and what's not. Someone said something about Obafemi, and I thought that was interesting
Mm.
because how does that even come about? How does that come to be with the amount of time that we have?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. With how much time we have left, okay, well, what happens between now and then that's going to give a good enough build to send him off? So I hate to say that I still don't know, but man, I still don't know.
I know.
I just don't.
I just hope that it ain't, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, Tim, but I just hope it ain't
Okay.
another like Baron Corbin thing with Kurt, because
Mhm.
I thought that the best one to have sent Kurt packing would have been Cena back then.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kurt can't wrestle
Did
now.
I just heard that wherever I was, where Kurt said that he could have had Cena, but he had to wait another year, and he didn't want to wait
Yeah.
another year. Yeah.
Yeah, what a shame because that would have
I
been
don't
fitting,
know.
right? And he should referee Cena's last match. If he can't wrestle, he should ref it, right? I would have
Right?
had, yeah, I know. I would have had Edge. I know it's not possible, and I know that he's taking time out of AEW and everyone got excited. It's just a film, but I would
Yeah.
have had him. in Washington, Batista would have made sense if because he was a big rival of Cena. People don't. I think
Yeah.
it's when it goes low key. People don't always remember that. If it's gonna be somebody like, do you know what? And Santi Zap said this on Chris Van Vliet, and he made a great. He mentioned the Brock thing and about how Cena might wanted to beat Brock for the lot. And yeah, I get that. But then he said Dominic Mysterio, and I
Oh, I
just thought,
do like
yes,
that.
yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that's brilliant because
I do like
Dom's
that.
like he's so good. I don't know. The heel turn was the best thing that ever happened to him, I think anyway. And he's just one. He's just those faces that you just want to punch, right? And that's
He's
I,
it's so effortless for him too. It just comes so naturally, just the way that he interacts with things. He doesn't have to be over the top. It's just he's just good. It's funny.
and you mentioned earlier on Eddie, like we mentioned Eddie Guerrero, and I would have loved if Eddie had been around now because I just
Oh,
think
I would too.
I mean,
My
for a load of
gosh.
other reasons, right? But could you imagine, like Dominic? He could have, like, I don't know, sided. He said, "Yeah, he's really my father," because they'd done that storyline, didn't they? Back when Dominic was younger, they could have had so much fun with that.
I will root for that kid. I appreciate him so much. He gave me the time. I had a little opportunity with WWE a while back, and
Yes,
he gave me the time and let me do a couple fun little reel clips with him, and was fully, fully Dirty Dom Mysterio, but he just made it very easy. So I appreciate him for that. He's a piece of shit, but he's a good kid. But he's a piece of shit.
he's a good piece of shit. I think we can we
Yeah.
can call him that, right? But yeah, not long before Cena go, and that's another thing. Like, I had a love hate thing with Cena. No, that's a strong word to say, love hate. I
That's
cheered
ever.
him.
Well,
Yeah, I cheered him and booed him, right? I cheered him
yeah.
at the start when he was the rapper. When I felt as if WWE were forcing him down as I didn't like him, then we then found a common ground. I met him at WrestleMania, I want to say 26 or 27. And I realized that when he come over here to the UK, he supports the same soccer team as I do. So I remember I walked up to him and I booed him as I walked up and we shared a laugh. And I said, well, we have one common ground. And he said, well, what's that? And I pulled out they're called Tottenham. And I pulled out a Tottenham shirt. And Finn Balor supports him as well. You'll see him when he comes over. He goes there. And yeah, that was it. He signed my Tottenham shirt and we had a little joke about that. And yeah, that was on my common ground. But the one thing that I will say embodies John Cena, and he says it a lot, and that's the word respect. Whether you loved the guy, whether you cheered him, whether you booed him, you cannot take away what that guy had done for the business, right? He was amazing at what he does. And it's going to be a sad day in a few months' time when the time is up and the time is now for him to go. And he's one of those
He is.
guys that won't come back for a Saudi Arabia payday. He will, I
No, he
fully
will not wrestle.
visualize it. No, he will not ever.
He will keep his word.
He will.
He will not come back for a payday. Doesn't need to, doesn't want to. This is it. I'm
Yes,
trying to
sir.
make it there. I'm trying to make it there.
You
We'll
got to.
see.
Well, he's going to be inducted into the. Is he going to, I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be next year, or at least, I don't mean this horribly when I say I don't want him to be inducted when it goes to Saudi Arabia, but I feel as if it would take away a little bit. It's
No, no,
horrible,
I
I
don't think
know,
that. No, no, it's not. I don't know. You're
but
fine.
yeah, that's good. I'm saying if I annoy people with that, I'm sorry, but I just don't think that he needs to be inducted in America. That's
I
that's
agree.
that's just me. But yeah, I'm glad you agree. Right, before we start
No, I
wrapping
agree.
up,
I
I'm
absolutely
glad.
agree.
I'm glad. No, I'm glad you agree. Before we start wrapping up, I did mention about interactions with wrestlers, and I'll share with you my one with Edge in a minute. But what's been your favorite interaction that you've had with a wrestler?
Oh gosh. What is my favorite interaction that I've had with a wrestler? Um, well, the coolest thing was when CM Punk was leaving night one of WrestleMania.
Yep.
He was walking up the ramp and I was on the stage. I was working with the brand, so I was up on the stage. So I was right at the railing. Then as he's walking up, I could tell he saw me and he did this like squinted at me. And he kept walking and there was a little girl standing next to me and her mom was like screaming at him to sign her belt. She had a title belt and so he came over and he signed the belt for her. And he told her, don't let anyone tell you can never do anything. And he takes a step back and then he was going to walk away, but then remembered, I don't know, that he saw me and he went up and he rounded the corner and he went and stood in front of where I was, and he just held his hand up for me to shake it. And I just kind of stood there for a moment, like, are you trying to shake my hand? And he just went like, I shook it, and he just said thank you. And I just was like, for what? But okay. And then he walked away. And so that's probably the coolest interaction, just because it was an acknowledgement that he knew who I was and felt the need to thank me for whatever reason. Come to find out, he was filming WWE Unreal at that same time, and he was
Oh
very
wow.
emotional that day, that evening. It was his first, WrestleMania main event, so emotions were really, really high. And I went to bat for him that the since he returned. I went to bat for him when he returned to AEW. I went to bat for him when he left there, when he came back to WWE. I really tried to quiet the noise of people talking about stuff when they don't know people personally. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. That was cool, especially when people try to discredit my position or what I do
Mm.
all the time. They're currently doing it now. Like, oh, you're just a reactor. Oh, you're just a reactor. You're just a reactor. People only watch you for this reason. They only watch you for this reason. People just want to peg. They just want to knock you down. It just
Yeah.
makes them feel good. And so for CM fucking Punk to shake my hand and say thank you, I literally can tell everyone to fuck off. Because
You can. And you have every right to as well, because people that do that just haven't got the time of day. And just on a side note to that, because you've really brought a good point about it's a bit like vindication, right? It was a vindication of the work that you've done. It doesn't go unnoticed, and a thank you, which is great. You absolutely deserve that. We had exactly this kind of the same thing, but we wasn't there live. But I mentioned NWA earlier on, and they do the territory system, and one of those territory systems is Exodus Pro Wrestling, which is owned by EC3. So for the podcast, we done a week or two's worth of build with it. We didn't, we wasn't asked to. It was just, hey, look, they're doing this. It's going to be live on the NWA YouTube, which was great. So we interviewed a few of their guys and girls. We watched the show, we reviewed the show, we put the review out. I went to sleep, and the next day, like, and and this is gonna. I woke up and it was like my Instagram, like 36 notifications. Like, what the fuck's going on here? What is going on? What is happening here? So I went onto it, and you go into the messages, and there was Aaron Stevens, who Damien Sandow, and there was EC3, and they'd sent a message. It's one of those things where they've liked it or they've shared it, or something like. That. And EC3, I can't get a message up right now because my phone isn't near me, but he said something along the lines of, you gave us a voice and platform in a time that we really needed it. And basically, just what Punk has done for you. We got that from EC3 and we got that from Damien Sandow, Aaron Stevens. And that was vindication for me for the work that we done for that week or two. We've done it ever since. We've had a lot of their roster on, but kind of going through what you said there. I just want to touch on before I go into my story. I feel like I talk too much on these things. WWE Unreal. Your thoughts on that? You're probably going to guess mine, but what are your thoughts on? What was your thoughts on
if you're a
Unreal?
grumpy old man, I probably feel like I do know. Yeah, that's fine. I get it. You know, for me personally, I didn't feel that, first of all, you can choose to watch it or not. You don't have
Yeah.
to.
Mhm.
You don't have to. I don't feel like it exposed too much of the process. It did show the layout of how they got from point A to point B
Yeah.
as far as, WrestleMania. I understand that. But it doesn't bother me. I live in the digital age. If they're not doing it, someone else is monetizing off of coming up with bullshit stories on the
Mm.
internet that aren't real. So they might as well film it and actually show them, hey, you were wrong. This is what actually happened, and they can make their bag. Like
Yeah.
I get it. Um, but at the same time, I understand the respect of it be, wrestling being what it is, and it's you don't give this away. People wouldn't have known what this was, 40 years ago, 30 years
Yeah.
ago, and now this is where we're at. So, what are your what
What
are
do I
your
think?
thoughts?
Yeah, I think for me, like, I didn't mind it, and yes, I did watch it, so it's probably partly my bad for watching it. My girlfriend loved it. She thought it was fantastic. She loved watching it all behind this. I was just sitting there going, I didn't want to know that. I didn't want to know. And again, I could have switched off, and that's on me for not doing it. I suppose there was intrigue enough. I just feel that, like, yes, I know this thing is scripted, and I do know they get hurt because I work in there and I've done a little
Of
bit of
course.
wrestling in my time, so I know what the situation is. But it's just stuff like you say that you didn't want to know. And I
No.
feel as if that was the thing. I was like, I don't-" but you're right though. So many people make up bullshit elsewhere that it was nice of WWE to go, fuck off. This was what really happened, guys. You were so wrong. So yeah, that's I didn't mind that too much. But yeah, I'm a grumpy old man, so
It's
I
okay.
watch it. But season two is coming out, folks, and you'll better see that on Netflix.
I did
Probably
see that, and I did see
yeah,
that next
next
year.
year. Yeah, and just before we wrap up now, I'll tell you my Edge thing. So anyway, a bit like Cena, Edge has always been love-hate, right? Didn't really care, didn't really give a shit for him for many, many years. But it went through that stage where Cena was the super Cena, right? Everyone, and he was getting booed at that point, and I was one of them. And I just sort of throwaway comment. I said to my friends, we used to have friends around for pay-per-views, 1 o'clock in the morning, all that stuff. And I used to say, first person that beats this guy for the championship is going to be my favorite wrestler. And of course, it was Edge, right? So
Edge.
it was Edge. It was Edge. Didn't so. And like my family used to come and watch it. So I used to be one of those kids that just used to piss them off just for the sake of pissing them off. So I used to be like, that was free when it was two, that sort of stuff. Anyway, Edge beat Cena. So the next day I bought myself the Rated R Championship belt just to piss everybody off. So I
You're
used to sit there,
hilarious. Oh my
pride as
God.
punch, right? Spin a belt,
Uh-huh.
Rated R spinner, just to piss everyone off. Anyway, I go to WrestleMania, and I never take it just because of the weight of the thing and the
Hmm.
luggage.
They're a
Wow,
bitch to carry around. Hmm.
just a bitch ride to carry around. And I was like, one of these days he's going to sign this damn thing. Anyway, and funny enough, Jeff Hardy ended up signing it before he did. Anyway, he retires, right? And I was like, fuck, this is never going to happen. I'm never going to get this opportunity. I'd met Edge on times in the UK that I hadn't taken the belt, and I was just met him and Lita, and I was so annoyed at myself that I never got the chance. Finally, London, they'd done this convention called Comic Con. And I remember reading the headline, Adam Copeland. That was it. I was like, ticket, bang, I'm getting it
I'm
done.
going.
Like, this is it. RVD was there as well, which was great. I got to meet RVD and I
Oh,
walked
RVD.
up. Yeah, he's a great guy. Walked up to Copeland Edge, and obviously he'd seen the tattoo. So we're talking about the brew. And he looked down and he was like, and he squinted. It's a bit like you're saying about squint, about punk squinting. He was squinting, like, that's my belt. I was like, "Yep," and you can have your belt. And we had a picture of it. He had a picture of it over his shoulder. He signed it, and it was just a great, it was kind of closure for me because I never thought that was going to happen. But anyway, that is what it is. But Weezy, look, we got to wrap up because I appreciate your time, and you've got. I'm probably going to be doing NXT in a few hours. I would imagine,
I will. Yes, I will. I will.
which is going to be great. Invasion angle kicking into gear tonight at
It's been
time of
fun.
recording, of course, guys. 'Cause, it may go a bit late. But before we go, like a stupid question, where can everybody see you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram and X Twitter at it's Wheezy Blonde, ITS Wheezy Blonde. And then you can find me on Twitch and YouTube. Currently, really trying to build my YouTube just at Wheezy Blonde. That's usually where you can find me.
There you go, guys. And before we go, we got to thank TNA as it is Bound for Glory week. And of course, it would mean that we get a nice little interview out of it. And it's a man that's probably going to be making his debut in his hometown. It's the hometown man. He will be on the show. So big thanks to him. And an ex-WWE guy from the NWA, the Pope, Elijah Burke. So big thanks to him for coming on as well. Or big thanks to him for agreeing to come on, shall we say. Pope hasn't happened yet, but Hometown Man has. See it in the comments below. You can find us on social media, HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, and all other social media outlets. But Wheezy, thank you so much for this opportunity to come and talk to you today. I really love watching your stuff. I will obviously continue to do so. And that Hall of Fames, you'll get there, and it will be, as I said, the first ballad. There'll be Conman to the left of you, Santi to the right, and you will be in the middle. As you say, a rose between two thorns as the Hall of Fame.
I'm just having fun at this point, man. I enjoy doing it. I like doing it. I do love I've had so much love from people that are actually in the business, and that's all I can ask for. Like that's what I'm trying to do, just show that there's regular people out there that aren't weirdos that
No,
can enjoy things and also be critical without being a weirdo. So,
that is it. And big thank you for what you do and just keep that work going. But everyone,
thanks.
from Wheezy, it's Adam Cousins for the Hidden Turnbuckle podcast. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.